Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 2.2. Here's your objective. I will be able to write percents as fractions and vice versa. I know last time we turned decimals into fractions and fractions into decimals, and that'll help us today as well. But today we're turning percents into fractions, so something like this will equal something like that. Alright? And then we're going to go vice versa, turning our fractions, let's just say A over B, back into percents. So let's talk about percents to start. Okay, so what is a percent? A percent is a ratio, if you can't see, this is in your book, a ratio that compares a number to 100. For example, 45% is 45 out of 100, or 45 hundredths. Alright, so any percent is out of 100. So, if you had 98%, that would equal 98 over 100. If you had 100%, 100% would equal 100 over 100, which also equals 1. We'll get into that later. But keep this in mind, all percents are out of 100. Alright, so let's turn percents into fractions. Key phrase here in simplest form. Alright, so 50% is 50 out of 100, which is, yes, that's very easy. But we're always going to turn it into simplest form, so we find the common factors. And I think 50 is a fine common factor. 50 is the greatest common factor. 50 divided by 50 equals 1, and 100 divided by 50 equals 2. So 50% as a fraction is 50 out of 100, or 1/2. Let's do the next one. 75%. All percents are out of 100, so it's simply 75 out of 100. And we're done. No, we're not. We have to reduce. I do know that 25 is a common factor. I think it's the greatest common factor. 25 goes into 75, 25, 50, 75, 3 times. 25 goes into 100, just one more time, so it's 3/4. Alright, so both of these are the right answer, but in simplest form, it's 3/4. Alright, 38%, another easy one, right? It's just 38 out of 100. Now, off the top of my head, I don't know what the common factor is, but I do know they're both even, so I could divide by 2 to reduce it. Alright, so 2 goes into 38. Well, I know 2 goes into 40 20 times. So 2 goes into 38 19 times. And 2 goes into 150 times. And 19 is a prime number, so I know I'm done. And it's 19 over 50. Alright, so yes, all percents are out of 100, but then we reduce them as far as we can go. Put them in simplest form. Alright, what about turning fractions into percents? Now these are a little bit more difficult. Alright, so we have 6/8. There's 2 ways to turn this into a percent. Let's go back to yesterday's lesson. Let's divide. Alright, if we divide our fractions, 6/8 is the same thing as saying 6 divided by 8. So I have 6 divided by 8. Then we could turn it into a decimal. If we turn it into a decimal, we could turn it into a fraction out of 100. And then we can turn it back into percent. So it's kind of a long process, but hear me out. So 6 divided by 8, well, 8 can't go into 6, so it goes in 0 times, so I'm going to make a decimal and make it 60. 8 goes into 60 7 times, so I got to bring my decimal up. I hope you can see that. Bring my decimal up, goes in 7 times. Okay, so 8 times 7 equals 56, and 60 minus 56 equals 4. Alright, so I'm going to annex another 0 and bring it down, and 8 goes into 40 5 times. So I have 75 hundredths. And I have a visitor coming through. She likes to interrupt videos. You'll see that later on this year. Okay, so if I have 75 hundredths, I know that's not a percent yet, but if I have 75 hundredths, I could turn it into a fraction again. So 75 hundredths is, oh, well, there it is. It's going to be 75%, because all percents are out of 100. Okay, so 75 out of 100 is 75%. So I kind of brought it to I went from fraction to decimal back to fraction so I can make it a percent. That's kind of a long process, but it will always work. The other way, I have a big or sign here, is to make my fraction out of 100 as soon as I can. So I took the 6/8 and I reduced it to 3/4. Because I know 4 can go into 100. So now I am going to say 4 goes into 100 25 times. All right, so 4 times 25 equals 100. And then I have to do the same thing on the top. 3 times 25 equals 75. And now I already have 75 out of 100, and I know that to be 75%, because all percents are out of 100. So there's two ways here. All right, if you make your denominator somehow become 100, then you're golden. But sometimes it's hard to do that, and you have to do it this way, kind of like the next problem I'm about to do. All right, so I went from 6/8 to 3/4 because I divided by 2, and I divided by 2, and I got 3/4. Then I multiplied by 25 to get out of 100. So I took 2 steps to make it out of 100. Let's try one more together. All right, 12/40. Now I could do this both ways. Let's try it the other way first. I want 40 to become 100, so I think I'm going to divide by 2. Divide the numerator, the denominator by 2, and I get 6/20. Can I turn 20 into 100? Of course I can. If I multiply it by 5, I get 100 on the bottom, and 6 times 5 is 30. So 30 out of 100, what is that as a percent? It's simply 30%. So that one was not bad at all. I only took 2 steps to make it out of 100 again, and I did that. But what about the other way? Because this way will always work for you as well. It's 12/40 or 12 divided by 40. So I do 12 divided by 40. And you're going to see how easy this is right now. 40 can't go into 12. But if I annex a 0 and put my decimal, bring my decimal up, 40 can go into 120 pretty easily. 40, 80, 120. 3 times. And I have no remainder. So my answer is, as a decimal, is 3/10. All right, but 3/10 is the same thing as 30/100. So 30/100 equals 30%. All right, if I just left it as 3/10, I could have wrote it as 3/10, and we know that all percentages are out of 100, so I just multiply by 10, and I get 30 over 100 still, and that still equals 30%. Because why? All percents are out of 100. So you have 2 ways to turn fractions into percentages. Now it's your turn. Number 1, you have an A and B, so it's 4 questions total. Write each percent as a fraction in simplest form. So 15 out of 100, then you just have to reduce. 80 out of 100, I'll even write that down for you, the first one. But if you put 15 out of 100 as your answer, you're going to be wrong because it says simplest form. If you put 80 out of 100, although that is correct to start, it'll be wrong because I asked for simplest form. So you just have to reduce those. Write each fraction as a percent. Well, you could turn that into 100 pretty easily, or you could do some division and turn it into a decimal first. And you could turn 5 into 100 easily as well. Or you could do some division. You have a couple of options, whatever you like best, but you have 4 questions total. Good luck, and I will see you when I see you.